In every town, there is a secret. A truth buried so deep that people build stories around it until the lie becomes louder than the man. But sometimes, December brings light to places that have lived too long in the shadows. Welcome to the Afro Tales with Kemi, where ancient legends meet with modern storytelling. So sit back, open your heart, and walk with me through today's tale, told as always the African way. I am kemiiwalesin. In the heart of Okegbu, a small Yoruba community where gossip runs faster than harmattan wind, one name stirred fear and suspicion. Chief Adegbite, the quiet billionaire who lived on the hill. People whispered that his money had no beginning. Some said he used mirrors and shadows to count his wealth. Others swore he traveled at night, clothed in strange garments, communing with unseen forces. Yet every Christmas Eve, he fed the whole village. And this year, the villagers had decided they would not eat his food. As December drew near, the whispers grew louder. Mama Ronke, the pepper seller, claimed the chief's wealth increased anytime he shared his Christmas pounded yam. Old man Etukudo, an Efik traveler who settled in the village decades ago, swore he once saw a shadow following chief at midnight. Superstition mixed with fear, and fear birthed rebellion. This December, they said, would expose the truth. A secret meeting gathered in the village square. They agreed no one would touch that man's food. Let him eat it alone. They believed he used their ori, their heads, their stars to renew his wealth. We must protect our destiny, they murmured. No one questioned it. No one asked for proof. People rarely do when fear feels comfortable. High up the hill, Chief Adegbite watched the village with tired eyes. Not a wicked man, not a stingy man, just a man who had learned early that when you help loudly, people praise you, and when you help silently, they call you strange. Every Christmas, he prepared meals, not for ritual, but for research. He listened quietly, observed carefully, and planned how to uplift people without embarrassing them. But this year, he sensed something different, something heavy. Years ago, he had been a poor boy with a sick mother. He remembered the humiliation of begging for medicine, the shame of watching wealthy men pretend not to see him. So he made a vow. If I ever rise, I will lift others softly so they do not feel small. And he kept that vow, quietly paying fees, funding farms, clearing hospital bills, sponsoring apprenticeships. They called the giver the silent angel. They never knew it was him. It was Detty December. Music everywhere. Children rehearsing carols. The youth polishing their dancing shoes for the village carnival. Yet beneath the excitement, the boycott brewed. Even the teenagers whispered, this year, nobody will collect his rice. We must secure our destiny. And Chief Adegbite, he simply watched with a soft, sad smile. Far across the village, in a tiny clay house, lived Imabong, an Efik widow with one daughter, Ekanem. Ekanem was bright, talented, and determined to go to university. But they had no money. Still, every month, monthly stipends are sent, School fees were mysteriously paid. Every time Imabong tried to thank the silent angel, she found no one. Yet she knew whoever it was had a heart like gold. One evening, while returning from choir practice, Ekanem saw something that froze her steps. Chief Adegbite, standing behind a school building, handing tuition envelopes to the headmaster. Quietly, secretly, Ekanem gasped. So, he was the one? But he placed a finger to his lips. Shh, he whispered. Let people keep their peace. Ekanem nodded slowly, not in fear, but in awe. The day before Christmas Eve, the boycott reached his mansion. A group of youths marched up the hill with placards. We won't eat your destiny fruit. Leave our stars alone. A billionaire without a source. Chief Adegbite simply listened. He did not argue. He did not defend. Sometimes silence protects you more than the truth. The Christmas Eve sun rose with a golden calm. Chief Adegbite's staff prepared food as usual. Pots of jollof, steaming pounded yam, soups rich with assorted meats. But this time, no one lined up. No laughter, no eager children, only empty benches. The boycott had worked. Ekanem arrived at the square, heart pounding. She had debated all night. Should she speak up? But when she saw the empty plates and the disappointment in the chief's tired eyes, she couldn't stay silent. She climbed the stage meant for Christmas announcements and shouted the words that split the air. You people have been hating the wrong man. The crowd gathered, murmuring, confused. Ekanem lifted the envelope of school receipts. This man, she said, voice trembling, has been paying my fees for 3 years. And not just mine, many of yours too. She pointed at Mama Ronke. Your son's apprenticeship. He paid for it. She turned to Etukudo. Your hospital bills? Him. Silence fell like rain. One by one, faces lit with recognition. Yes! That anonymous helper. So it was him? I thought it was an angel. Stories flowed like a river finally finding the sea. Every market woman, every struggling father, every hopeful student, someone in their family had been helped by the very man they rejected. Then came the moment that changed everything. A young boy, no more than 15, walked forward clutching an envelope. He looked lost, afraid. Sir, he said to the chief, my mommy said if anything happens to her, I should give you this. Gasps rose. The boy looked nothing like the chief, but something in his eyes pulled the whole village into silence. Chief Adegbite opened the letter slowly. It was from Rebecca, a woman he had loved long before wealth found him. She had left the village years ago, pregnant after a misunderstanding that broke both their hearts. Her letter explained everything. The child was his. Her life had been hard, but she wanted her son to know love and safety, even if she never returned. Tears gathered in the chief's eyes. The villagers watched him fall to his knees, hugging the boy tightly. His son, his blood, a secret he never knew existed. Born on Christmas Eve, standing before him on the very day the village had rejected him. Destiny has a strange sense of timing. For the first time in years, Chief Adegbite spoke to the crowd. Not with anger, not with pride, but with the soft voice of a man who had loved and lost and loved again. I hid my giving, he said, because dignity is cheaper than gold. I didn't want any of you to bow to me. I wanted you to stand tall. The villagers bowed their heads. Mothers cried. Elders felt shame wrap around them like cold wind. The same man they accused, the same man they mocked, was the one saving them from hunger, sickness, and failure. One of the youths whispered, "Have we truly been this blind?" But it wasn't blindness. It was fear, wearing tradition like a mask. When he finally invited them to eat again, this time the villagers ran with joy, with gratitude, with new understanding. The square came alive with music and dancing. Children laughed. Drummers played. The smell of stew filled the air like a blessing. It became the biggest Detty December celebration the village had ever seen. As the night deepened, Chief Adegbite watched his son sleeping, resting his head on his lap, peaceful, innocent, carrying the eyes of the woman he once loved. The villagers surrounded him with warmth, finally seeing him for who he truly was. A man who gave without announcing it. A man who carried the scars of love and the strength of compassion. And that night, the people of Okigbo learned a truth they would never forget. Sometimes, the brightest lights hide behind the quietest doors. And the man you fear may be the angel you've been praying for. That night, as the moon rose above Okigbo, something changed. Not in Chief Adegbite, but in the people who once feared him. They came with empty stomachs and left with humble hearts. For years, they mistook silence for darkness and generosity for witchcraft. But when the truth was finally unveiled, when the hidden hands that paid school fees, cleared hospital bills, rescued businesses, and restored dying dreams were revealed, the village realized a bitter truth. They had feared the man, the very man who carried them through their hardest seasons. And in that moment, standing in the glow of Christmas lanterns, their pride melted, their suspicion crumbled, and their shame burned hotter than the festive fires. Chief Adegbite did not rebuke them. He did not boast. He simply said one thing. A village is only as strong as the kindness we give one another. Then he walked away. As the village, once blinded by rumor, watched the quietest man they ever knew shine brighter than any wealth they imagined. Because sometimes the greatest miracles are not loud. They are gentle, hidden, and they come wrapped in the humility of a misunderstood heart. Light does not argue with darkness. It simply shines until the eyes that doubted finally learn to see.